So I thought there was no possible way that the hunter build I posted yesterday could be challenged. Well, this Warlock build cleared the exact same content 3 minutes faster, and I even compared it to the getaway artist build from 2 days ago, and it cleared it 7 minutes faster. I want you guys to let that sink in. If you guys just watch 5 minutes of this gameplay, you'll walk away thinking, holy crap, I can't believe we can do things in Destiny 2 like this now. And I wasn't making things up when I said a few videos ago that this season will have the most power fantasy, and it just pushes up through the roof at this point. And the new Praxic Blade is at the center of all of it because it opens up playstyles to their full potential. It combines power with survivability, and I urge you guys to keep using it and getting used to it if you haven't yet. I also did test this build on Prismatic as well, and funny enough, I had way more survivability on Pure Arc thanks to 3 different blinding sources instead of just the one, and that's even when you add Devour in over on Prismatic, which is pretty crazy. If everything is blinded on the battlefield, you're unkillable. Essentially what we're doing is building bolt charge stacks so freaking fast that we can let off 2 of the big damage lightning bolts in one Praxic Blade sword combo. That's a ton of extra damage, which means we can take down multiple champions and high health targets pretty much instantly. And that's not even including the damage over time from 3 other sources. The reason this works so well is thanks to our impact core that lets us build a bolt charge on melee hits. And we pair that with the Spark of Frequency fragment from the Arc subclass that doubles the bolt charge generation. So we're building these bolt charge stacks so fast with just this combo alone. And that's not including other sources from the subclass where we're going to be getting bolt charge. It turns your Praxic Blade into a powerhouse to let off these bolt charges one after the other. Then we add in a ton of survivability thanks to 3 different blind debuff sources. And these keep entire groups of enemies from doing anything to us. Our Rift will blind enemies, and remember, our Rift got a nice buff on the Warlock. Our Ionic Sentry blinds on impact, and our Flashbang Grenade also blinds. Then we add Jolt to the mix, and that just means more damage, and we add Jolt to all 3 of those abilities. Our Rift will grant us an Arc Soul, it will be an amplified Arc Soul so it's stronger, and that will also apply Jolt on every single shot. Ionic Sentry will jolt with every lightning bolt it fires off, and then our Flashbang Grenade also jolts as well. And all 3 of these can jolt enemies thanks to the fragment Spark of Shock, which works with our Arc Soul, our Ionic Sentry, and our Flashbang Grenade. Now the Healing Rift we're using so often in the gameplay got a nice buff with Renegades where we can cast it on the move. I didn't think this would make that big of a difference, but it really allows it to feel so much better to use over and over. It just feels smooth. This is the way it should have always felt and should have been from the beginning, which kind of makes me upset. Then our Rift also got an increase to the size, and it's about 25 to 30% bigger now. And I mean, bigger is always better, right? Question mark? Now we add the damage up from all the different damage over time that's happening. Our Rift creates arc shockwaves that deal decent damage. Both our Arc Soul and Ionic Sentry deal great damage over time as well, thanks to us being able to scale that damage with the grenade stat. And you're always going to have an Arc Soul and the Ionic Sentry up. Sometimes you'll have 2 Ionic Sentries up. So we have so much going on between those 3 abilities that you're just looping them over and over. Everything is blinded, they're all jolted, and you have a ton of passive outgoing damage happening. Then we add in the Praxic Blade with pretty much infinite bolt charges going off, and we create this beauty of a build that you're currently watching. Hopefully I explained that well enough for you all so you can understand what's happening, because if you test this build out and give it a try for yourselves, I know you all won't be disappointed. Now for the super, if I were you guys, I would take Storm Trance. It doesn't do crazy damage, and as you can see in the gameplay, you will get this thing back so fast. So you're just popping Storm Trances over and over. Now we went over Spark of Shock that allows your grenades to jolt targets, Spark of Frequency, which means while we're amplified, it increases the stacks of bolt charges we gain from all sources. You'll also want to take Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you're more resistant to incoming damage. This is a 25% damage reduction. We're always going to have this up because we're in the thick of things. And then the last fragment, your 4th fragment slot, is completely up to you. For our 2 exotics, that is the Praxic Blade. Of course, you want that impact core that I went over, where the melee damage is granting you bolt charge. And then I do like Hyper Blade as the trait still, because it's just a way to become amplified when you're blocking shots. On any subclass, I think that's the best trait overall. And then I still do like defensive form on it. If you're low on ammo for your sword, just block shots and you're gonna get ammo back. And it can also pretty much block anything in the game. Even boss stomp mechanics, you take like no damage. And we'll pair that exotic with our exotic armor piece, which is Vesper of Radius. Rifts periodically release those arc shockwaves. Final blows with those shockwaves create arc explosions, which is nice. But the main part here is while an arc super is equipped, the shockwaves and subsequent explosions blind nearby targets. And then the rift energy recharges faster when you're surrounded by targets, which we always are. But that blinding has a big radius now thanks to the increase in size of our healing rift. It pairs perfectly together, and casting it is so much smoother because we're moving while casting it. And with the ability regeneration, you're gonna get the rift back so freaking fast when you're near 4, 5, or 6 enemies. Because it's like 600%, 1000%, then it jumps up to 1500%, so you get where I'm going with that. You're gonna have this up all the time. I probably should have been casting it more often in certain scenarios. Now for your total stats on the build, these are important. I'm showing you guys with the font mods active. You want to scale that grenade stat up. I had 184, so my Ionic Sentries and my Arc Souls were hitting almost 60% harder, right? You want to get your super close to 100. I think I had about 85, but it's just going to let you loop the super back quicker. Your class ability, you want to hit at least 100, just so you get the full returns you can be getting with Vesper of Radius. I actually had close to 140 in the gameplay because every time I casted it, I would get like half my health bar. I would get a nice little overshield. Since you're going to be getting that rift back so fast, if you could push class ability up even further, you'd be sitting really good because it's just another layer of survivability. But I didn't have the correct armor to do that. And then your weapon stat, get close to 100. It's going to allow your Praxic Blade to hit 15% harder, and we love that. I think I had 90 in the gameplay. And then for the artifact mods, you just want to take any sword artifact mods and Dielectric and Elemental Siphon. Dielectric is defeating arc debuff targets grants bolt charge, so just another source of building bolt charge stacks. And then when we rapidly defeat arced debuff targets, it will spawn an Orb of Power and heal a small portion of our health. Elemental Siphon lets rapid final blows with that Praxic Blade create Ionic Traces for us, which is great. Kinetic Synthesis creates those white ammo bricks for us as we're killing things and we're doing sustained damage, which we always are. And then I also took Combination Argent Blade to get that extra bonus in damage to our sword. This will happen passively all the time as you go into those 3 light attacks and then do your heavy attacks, so you don't have to worry about anything doing with this. But I'm pretty sure this is like a 20, maybe a 30% damage buff. And then of course, I still didn't have the last column of the artifact unlocked, so you're gonna add in 2 more mods there, and I'll make the build even more OP. For mods on the build, we'll take Kinetic Siphon on the helmet, and then double Ashes to assets to let the Arc Souls and the Ionic Sentry give us more super energy back. On the gauntlets, I took 3 grenade fonts. I didn't need to really spawn extra Orbs of Power, which is normally what I take here, right, from my Arc Soul and Ionic Sentry, but 3 grenade fonts gave me a plus 50 to my grenade stat, which means I would only been down at like 130 grenade stat without these, because my armor isn't the best. On the chest piece, it's your damage reduction, so match whatever activity you're doing. Take a concussive dampener because when you're working around your rift, it'll just help you survive splash damage. On the boots, I took a recuperation, heal when I pick up an Orb of Power, and 2 kinetic surges to give a 17% damage bonus to that Praxic Blade. On the class item, I took 2 class fonts. It pushed my class stat up to a plus 40, which let me get close to around 140 to get that overshield every time I cast my rift, and then a powerful attraction to pick up nearby Orbs of Power. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Didn't think Arc Warlock would be as strong as it is, but it really is. Storm Dancer's Brace is also another good exotic you could choose, but I like the neutral game way more. And as you can see in the video, I don't need Storm Trance to be doing more damage technically. And if I was gonna take Storm Trance, I'd probably go over onto Prismatic because you can loop between your Prismatic form and your super very quickly over on Prismatic. I've done a build like that in the past and maybe I'll update it. If you guys wanna see that one, let me know. I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.